like one of those anime titles?
No, yeah, I mean, kinda, I guess.
All right. Let's do an audio check. 1 2 1 2. Oh my God, the first video that pops up is the Hufflepuff video.
I'm
I'm afraid of ghosts and sheets with holes in them and regular
regular
sheets.
sheets. That's the best. That's the best part. Is a truly Hufflepuff thing.
Oh yeah, that's quality stuff. Okay. Chunk. Okay. Dum, dum. All right, we got to tweet it out. That's what the kids are doing these days. They're tweeting
On the line.
on the line. You take pictures IRL and you upload them on the line
Instantaneously.
instantaneously.
I watched that movie like a month ago.
It's $1 million idea.
A
Actually,
billion
it's a
dollar
$1 billion
idea.
idea.
Even better.
Let's see. Come hang out for a bit. All caps. That was an accident, but we're keeping it. Paste. Bam. All right. It's tweeted.
It's posted.
It's out there in the Twitter sphere.
All right, well then let's do this thing.
I gotta actually pull it up. Live chat. All right, man. I'm ready if you are.
All right, 3, 2, 1.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to Silence Your Cell Phones. My name's Kevin, here, as always, with everybody's favorite cinephile, Jarrett Hubbard.
Yes, that's the only kind of file I am.
Yes. So Jarrett, we have a kind of a cool episode today that in my opinion.
Yeah, very eclectic.
Last year, for those of us who were with us, we did a special October like Halloween movie edition that I didn't really get to participate in. So today, that's one of the things we're going to discuss. We're going to discuss a couple of different movies that we've seen recently. But first, before we get into any of that, Jarrett, what'd you watch this week?
So I did get out to see Amsterdam. In theaters. It's the first movie I've seen in theaters in a month.
Well, that's been pretty much the only thing like worth going to theaters for.
Worth seeing. So I saw that. It was the beginning of the fall anime season. So there was like 10 that have come out. So I watched a ton of anime. And I'm sure we'll go over that a little bit here in a minute. So I won't try to name them all. And then I watched Welcome to Wrexham. I'm getting caught up on that. House of the Dragon. I was a week behind. I caught up on that Monday. I watched the newest 2 episodes, so I'm caught up there.
Welcome to Wrexham or Ted Lasso?
Welcome to Wrexham. They're two different shows though. So that one's a documentary, the other one's not. Right.
Right.
So, but Ted Lasso, like, okay. I mean,
I just had to make sure.
I don't know if there will ever be a show that I pick over Ted Lasso.
It's honestly, since the first season, it has been in my top 5 all time.
It's a comfort show.
It's the best of everything. You know, if you haven't, you got to watch it. Okay. I can't stress it enough. One of the greatest shows ever made. Jason Sudeikis is an actual gem.
Yes.
Sorry, go ahead. I just wanted to throw that out.
I've been watching sports.
I
think that's it.
Okay. Well, it sounds like you had a nice, productive week in film and TV.
Yeah. What about you?
I also, as you know, am a huge fan of the big fall anime season. So I got a ton of that watched. I mentioned last week briefly that I was going to watch the last two seasons of Archers. So I
Hmm.
got season 12 out of the way.
Nice.
And they just revert back to the earlier, better Archer.
Yeah.
They stopped doing all the weird stuff they were doing. So uh, I watched that. I watched The Gray Man, and we'll discuss that here shortly. So I'm finally getting to where I can actually start watching movies again. That whole last month and a half of work was pretty insane. So I'm glad to have at least gotten a chance to watch something and really enjoy it. Um, I watched Chainsaw Man. First episode came out. Huge manga in Japan.
Yeah.
And so that was pretty awesome. I'm not big on gore, as you know, in most of my shows, and that's pretty gory. But I did think there was a lot of pleasant aesthetics in the show, and I really liked how it looked. Catching up on One Piece still. I think I got like 12 episodes left. Caught up on Spy Family, which has been an absolute gem of a show.
It's one of the best.
Yeah. Um, and then the first two episodes of Reincarnated as a Sword I got to watch. And I think that'll be a fun watch. I don't know how good it's gonna be, like on you've seen the reincarnation shows. I don't know that it'll be as good as you know, jobless reincarnation, stuff
Yeah.
like that. But I think it'll be fine. A good watch. And hopefully this week I'm trying to catch up on House of Dragons and Rings of Power. So got a lot on my plate coming up. I think I'm like 6 episodes behind.
Yeah.
Episode 3 of House of Dragon and Rings of Power.
Yeah.
Episode
So
3.
they just finished episode 8 of House of Dragons. I haven't watched
5.
Rings of I haven't watched Rings of Power since episode 3 either. Uh I'll eventually power through it.
Sure.
Um, but yeah, there's just too many shows out now for me to like. I'm actively, I think, to my Crunchyroll list, I added like 11 anime this
Oh no.
I this week, and they're just new anime.
Yeah.
Like everything, I'm close to watching everything this season, and it's the first time. Usually there's like 2 or 3. I'm like, yeah, I'm totally into it. I'll watch those. But like literally, Jose and I sat down and watched like 4 or 5 on Monday, and we were like, dude, all bangers.
Yeah, and
So
you've been on this big reading kick too for like the last 6 months. So, have you read any of the stuff that you're watching right now?
no, the only ones
With
I'm
the
like,
exception of like My Hero, right?
yeah. So the only ones I read actively right now is I'm reading One Piece, and then I read every week. I read uh the new chapter of My Hero and Jujutsu Kaisen. Those are
Okay,
the only 3 that I'm like actively reading.
sure.
But I mean, I know you mentioned Chainsaw Man. There's a new soccer anime out called Blue Lock, which is like soccer meets Squid Games, and
Yeah.
it's nuts.
So,
Um,
I also want to say while we're on the topic of anime,
yeah,
did you see the Hunter x Hunter news about it getting reintroduced in the Shonen Jump and coming out in both English and Japanese
yeah,
for like 24 episodes or something that the creator's already done?
yeah,
So that's really exciting. Before, I think it was only going to be Japanese and late October release maybe or early November.
yeah.
So it's actually kind of huge that we're getting it back again. So that's exciting.
It is. It's been forever. Uh, I know Bleach starts back up this week, or is already starting back up. I never watched Bleach, but it's a
Me
pretty big
neither.
deal.
Yeah, me neither.
There was a couple new slice of lives if you're not into like shonen action. One called Not Quite a Married or More Than a Married Couple, Not Quite Lovers, which is really funny. And then my personal, like, I think it's my hidden gem. There's one called Bocce Rocks, and it's just about the socially awkward girl that learns how to play a guitar and wants to join a band,
Oh, nice.
and it's hysterical. Like,
Yeah, stuff like that's a lot of fun, I think, and really enjoyable if you're just looking for something like a little more chill than what you normally get
yeah,
with the genre, right?
yeah, it's definitely the exact opposite end of the spectrum of Chainsaw Man.
Yeah. See, stuff like that. It's kind of like Your Name. You know, those like really, really good and well drawn and well done anime movies that are not all action or like these huge shonen productions.
Yeah.
I think I enjoy that a little bit more now, and maybe it's because I'm older, but you know,
Yeah, I think I'm the same way because I used to be like a strictly shonen watcher.
yeah,
And then I watched like one slice of life and I was like, oh, this is actually pretty funny. And then I just started watching more of them.
yeah.
So
Well, that being said, let's hop off the anime kick and let's go straight into the films that we watched this week. I got an opportunity to see Gray Man. That is the Netflix original, for those of you who don't know, starring Ryan Gosling and Chris Evans, a couple of guys that I've been told I look similar to.
literally never once.
No, not even like a
No,
little
no,
bit.
no.
But that one time you were like,
I mean,
"Hey Kev, you remind me of
I,
Ryan Gosling."
I most assuredly would never.
You don't? Okay, so Jared obviously has a terrible memory.
I
It's
mean,
been said once or twice.
both of you do have
I stand by it.
faces, I
The-
suppose.
So Ryan Gosling and Chris Evans play like dueling secret agent types in this film. And this was done by the Russo brothers, correct?
Yep, the Avenger team.
The Avenger team. And they just do a really great job, I think, in this production. I got some really serious Born Identity vibes with some of the action scenes, and I think part of that might be because it took place in Europe a lot of the time.
Yeah.
But even some of the way the scenes were shot, it gave me like Matt Damon, like Jason Bourne vibes. So did you get something similar?
No,
No?
no. But I mean, like, it's been a while since I've seen the Bourne movies. Like, I got more, like, I would say more new age James Bond vibes. Like,
See, I didn't, not as much for me, really.
but like, I mean, honestly, the movie was kind of its own. Like, yeah, it took place in Europe, but I didn't really get.
I think the humor was a lot better in this film than either of those two.
Oh, this, like,
The
it was an enjoyable movie. I think the Russo brothers, like, at their core, know what an audience wants to watch.
Yeah, and like the back and forth. So the witty back and forth, I think, is the most fun part of the script for me in this one.
Yeah.
Ryan Gosling talking to Chris Evans was hysterical. Like every time they talked.
Yeah.
And it made it that much more enjoyable for me personally.
I really enjoyed the, like, consistent grenade jokes.
Yeah.
Like, every time they fought, like, one of them would drop a grenade and then the other one, like, it wasn't like a panic, like, oh, a grenade just dropped. They're like, oh, you're a dick.
Yeah, like
It was
first whenever Gosling did it, like Chris Evans like looked at him like, man, come on. And then he was like, that's ballsy.
yeah.
And they like both go their separate ways. But let's talk about Chris Evans specifically, because this is the type of character that I love seeing from him.
Mhm.
I think he just plays it so well, and I want more of it. Like I wish they didn't kill him in this one so he could come back in another one.
Yeah, I think Chris Evans is super underrated as an actor, because most people only know him as Captain America. When he gets to play the opposite of goody two shoes, straight edge or straight laced type of guy, he's funny because we see it more frequently than not outside of Captain America, right? So like the Gray
Right.
Man He's the same way. Knives Out, he
Yeah,
was
awesome.
the shitty brother, and like he really embraces these roles because I guess he doesn't get to do them as often. I mean, he might
Sure.
now because he's not Captain America anymore, but I'm sure like in that time span, the only movies he was filming were Avengers, Captain America type stuff. So I think he really embraces the shitty dude. I mean, he was funny as in Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, I think he gets I think he gets a lot of crap for the Fantastic Four
Yeah,
movie.
probably.
And I don't know that I don't think that's warranted because it
But like,
wasn't a good film.
but like, he was good in that movie. Like Johnny Storm was an enjoyable character in a
He was funny.
yeah in a mediocre movie. Like it's not. He was not the reason that movie was meh.
No,
He's
no,
only he's probably one of the redeeming factors of that movie.
sure. I can agree with that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I didn't know Billy Bob Thornton was in the film, and I know you have a special place in your heart
I do love Billy
for Billy
Bob.
Bob Thornton. But it was kind of cool to see him in a little more serious role than what I'm used to. Because most of my Billy Bob Thornton exposure is limited to like the Bad News Bears,
Yeah.
or I guess he played a similar character in that. What's that movie he played with The Rock? Ghost, where he was a cop. Do you remember this film? It's a long time.
No, I don't remember that movie. I
Okay,
mean,
so
I'm not saying you're wrong, but
well, essentially, The Rock had like this like tattoo that let everybody know in the underworld that he was some sort of a ghost, right? And he
mhm.
got some crime pinned on him, and Billy Bob Thornton was the bad guy. So I guess it was a little more serious, but um, this in this film, he's like good guy serious, and I really like that for him. So um, the cast was good, the acting was solid. The back and forth was probably my favorite part. I'd have gave this movie a solid seven,
Yeah,
6.5, somewhere in that area.
yeah,
IMDb has him at a 6.5, so right in line. Um, and I know you like the movie too, right?
yeah. I
You were
mean,
one of those.
it's just a fun movie. Like it, the Russo brothers are good at what they do. They're really good at action movies. They're really good at introducing comedy in more stressful situations to where it's like, okay, you're not slogging through a 2 hour movie, but there are still stakes on the line. And I think they do that pretty well. And that was always their tone in the Avengers. And I can appreciate that. So if you just want a good all action flick with Ryan Gosling being peak Ryan Gosling and Chris Evans being superb, this is
Well,
it.
I'm glad you said that. Sorry, I was just going to touch on the length because of the pacing. It is a little bit longer
Yeah.
than I think I would have liked it, but I didn't necessarily hate the pacing or the content,
Yeah.
because there's like a reason for why it's so long. Like they have to give backstory for his Gosling's relationship with the niece, and I think that's part of why it ran a little long.
Yeah.
So, nonetheless, you should give it a watch if you haven't seen it already.
I concur.
All right, so that is The Gray Man. You can find it on Netflix. Uh, let's go ahead and shift gears. Let's talk about Amsterdam. I know you've got a lot to say about it. I didn't get to watch it, but you did. Um, we discussed it a little bit, but I'm interested to know your thoughts with a cast that strong. What you were expecting and what you got. So
So I'm a firm believer that there can be too much star power in a movie. Uh, and this is a movie that I think struggled with that. Um, so every like every character you meet in the movie is an A-list actor. Like there are no
for Taylor Swift,
yeah, but okay, so they're notable people. Like
right?
you know them. Like there are no just like throwaway characters or side characters. Like Taylor Swift was in the movie for 15 minutes. That is a character that could have been played by most any actress. and somehow Taylor Swift was awful in that 15 minutes. Like
It couldn't have
legitimate,
been that bad.
dude. I was never more relieved when they killed a character off than when she got pushed under a car.
Can you say that? Are we allowed to
Yeah,
say that?
look, and Dane said the same thing. He was
Really?
like, dude, if she would have been in the entire movie, I would have hated it.
Yikes.
Yeah,
That's rough.
she's awful. But she's only in, like I said, the first 15 minutes of the movie, so you don't have to deal with her for that long. I don't know how she got the part or who she threatened to write another crappy song about, but it got her there. The big three in the movie are Christian Bale, Margot Robbie, and John David Washington. They play three friends that met during World War One. Margot Robbie was the nurse. Christian Bale was a not general, but like a sergeant in John David Washington's regiment in France. So they all became really tight knit, best friends. Essentially, the movie comes down to a murder mystery. I'm not going to go through full spoilers since you haven't seen it.
Sure.
But it was a very medium movie. Like, it was very mid. I don't think that comes from the actor's fault. I think it was all direction and how the scenes were done, because they were very choppy, very weirdly paced. A lot of stuff that felt like it was just thrown into a scene that was unnecessary. It was probably about 15 to 20 minutes too long. Yeah, so it's probably a movie I'll only see once.
Okay.
I think no one needs to rush out to theaters and see it. If you're like, unless you just like, I have to go see a movie, it's a fine one to see. I think, per usual, Christian Bale and Margot Robbie, fantastic.
Yeah.
John David Washington was definitely the weaker of the three in scenes he was in, but I kind of expected that. I know Zoe Saldana's on the screen, but she's also only in the movie about 15 minutes.
I wanted to ask you about three specific actors and one actress. Anya Taylor-Joy, Chris Rock, and Mike Myers are three people that I've really enjoyed in a lot of the films that they do. Did they show up often in Amsterdam? How was their performance?
So Chris Rock was in the same regimen as John David Washington and Christian Bale. So he kind of like shows up a little more sporadically in the movie.
Okay.
But probably doesn't have more than 20 to 25 minutes of screen time. Mike Myers shows up like at the beginning of the movie and at the end of the movie. Nothing crazy. I would say he gave a good performance, but it wasn't like, I don't think he had to act long enough in the movie for him to possibly screw it up.
Okay.
Anya Taylor-Joy was probably one of the stronger performances. She was in it a little bit longer. Her and Remy Malek were married, so they were always in scenes together. And the best part of the movie to me was a scene where Christian Bale, Margot Robbie, and Remy Malek and Anya Taylor-Joy are all talking, because Margot Robbie and her are sisters. And so the way they're all interacting with each other, I was like, damn, these are four of our generation's best actors.
Yeah.
Doing it, because I love Remy Malek. I think he's super, super, super talented.
You were a big fan of Bohemian Rhapsody, right?
Yes.
I thought so.
I thought him as, yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I cut you off.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I remember you talking about that, and I never saw it. I've only heard good things about him playing Freddie Mercury. And that's one that I really do need to go see. So I don't really have any prior work that he's done. Like, he's a guy that I recognize as that's the Freddie Mercury guy. But I wouldn't know him if I've seen him in any other film.
Well, he was the bad guy in No Time to Die.
Yeah, he was
the newest James Bond movie. And he was really good at that as well. So he's got range. Like, he can go from one end of the spectrum to the other, which is what I appreciate.
I'm so upset that I didn't put that together. Well done, Jarrett. Sorry. You should
Yeah,
do a movie podcast. Anybody ever
yeah,
tell you
I've been told once or twice.
that?
But yeah, Amsterdam. I'm going to call it a letdown. I had a lot of high hopes for this movie. I also always feel bad when I see trailers before a movie that are just better than the movie. Like the new Steven Spielberg movie that's coming out in
Oh,
November,
oh
which
yeah.
which is like a semi autobiography about him. And dude, if I was a director, I would be pissed.
I'm so wait, why? I'm so excited for it.
No, I'm saying like just if I directed other movies, because like you put out a banger movie, right? Let's say
Okay.
mid May.
Sure.
You're like, yeah, dude, I got a shot.
Oh,
I got a shot
award
at a
season.
yeah, I
Got
got
it.
a shot at a little golden man. And then all of a sudden, 4 months later, you're like, all right, nothing's coming out. I'm feeling good. Bam. A Steven Spielberg movie comes out in November, and you're just like, dude, what? And
Yeah, it's like
then it all comes crumbling down, just like West Side Story.
yep. That's exactly what happened last year, man.
Yeah,
That guy is a monster. And
yeah,
West Side Story, like I honestly doubted that it could live up. But the way that film was shot, it just showed how different he is. Like he is a different director. He is amazing at his craft. I was like
yeah.
he remade a movie from what the 70s. When was the
Oh,
original West
like
Side Story?
I think it was like 50s or 60s.
50s. He didn't change any of the music
Nope.
and made it an Oscar winning, multi Oscar winning. There was a few, right?
Yeah, Ariana DeBose won Best Supporting Actress.
Yeah.
I think it won.
He didn't win Best Director because that was the Power of the Dog lady.
Yeah. So I think it might have just been
Ariana
Ariana
De,
DeBose, maybe like one other not major,
sure. But
but
still a
yeah.
remake.
And then this crazy SOB comes out and says, you know what? I'm just going to make an autobiography about myself.
Dude,
And it's going to be
it's gonna be
amazing.
amazing. The trailer was so good.
It might be Seth
Um,
Rogen's best movie.
I'm interested to see him act.
Yeah.
I'm actually really excited about getting a different type of character than we're used to seeing from Seth Rogen. Um, so it's exciting, but everything I've heard from like interviews and people talking about Seth Rogen, they're really high up on his abilities to act. So
Yeah.
we'll see, but I'm excited. And if anybody can show him the way, it's Mr. Spielberg.
Yeah, I mean, there's one thing that you don't have to worry about is the directing in the movie is going to be a okay.
Yeah, exactly. Um, so Amsterdam, you give it a what? What would you say?
A
Five,
six.
6?
Yeah.
That's not terrible.
No, I mean
No.
it's like there were good parts. It was I've definitely seen worse movies this year. Uh, but like I said, I think I had a pretty high bar set for this movie just because anyone who's listened to the show knows I'm very high on Christian Bale. I'm very high on Margot Robbie. Uh,
Christian Bale's performance in this movie or Thor: Love and Thunder?
Thor: Love and Thunder.
Nice. Okay.
He just, I mean, in Thor: Love and Thunder, he doesn't have to share the screen so much. Like, I mean, even like the last act of Amsterdam, it's him, Margot Robbie, John David Washington, Remy Malik, and Robert De Niro are all standing on the same screen.
Yikes.
So it's like, oh, and Timothy Oliphant, and it's
Oh wow.
like, yeah. So it's like there's so many people to
Sure.
have to deal with. But
So where was I forget. He was up there. He was in your top 5. Do you
yeah,
remember where Christian Bale was in your rank? Because when our very first episode,
I think he was an honorable mention
okay,
because
he
it was Brad Pitt, or sorry, Leonardo DiCaprio, Brad Pitt, Hugh Jackman.
yeah.
Were my 3. Christian Bale was an honorable mention.
Because I'm gonna say, because we've done this a year and probably like 15, 16 months, right?
Yeah.
Um, he wasn't mentioned by me, but I've just got to say he's certainly moved up the list as one of my favorite actors to watch. I mean, it doesn't matter what the role is, he is talented.
Yeah.
Like, I think he can play anything legitimately, and you can't say that about a lot of actors. They have one or two specific types of roles that they do, like that they do well. And I think he just does everything. He's probably one of the most well-rounded actors in Hollywood.
Yeah.
So,
I 100% agree.
But yeah, so not saying to rush out and go watch Amsterdam,
No.
but give it a watch at some point. You can watch it at
Yeah.
home. I'm sure it'll come out soon.
Yeah, it'll hit a streaming service in a couple months.
Yeah. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about All Hallows Eve, Halloween,
The Day of the Dead.
the Day of the Dead, Octobre. Was that how you say that in Spanish?
I don't think so.
I've got to be close. I didn't roll my R, but I've got to be close.
I'll ask Jose.
Do that. The genre of the holiday, obviously, horror, thriller, suspense.
Yeah.
Last year, we had I believe who we had was Cody our guest?
No, Cody hasn't been on the show.
Who was our scary movie guest? Was it Dane? Somebody.
No, Dane was our award season.
We had a scary movie savant come in last year. I'm like,
oh no, it was David, because I was out of town and you guys did.
It was David.
You guys did a podcast when I was gone.
Yeah, so David and I actually, after that, so you guys got me into watching these scary movies, which I wasn't about before. Not because I'm a giant chicken, okay?
Definitely not that.
No, it was just, I don't want to manifest anything by watching stuff like this, bro. Like, I'm the type of person that sees things like this and gets to thinking way too much.
Yeah.
You know, and overthinking way too much. And I don't like, and I also just don't like being scared.
That's
right.
Fair.
But I had a newfound respect after not being forced. I was courageous. I said I was gonna give it a chance, and I did, and I found a genre that I actually kind of enjoyed. So I wanted to talk about like 3 of our favorite scary movie horror genre films, and just see if that's changed any for you over the last year.
Well, number one, still The Strangers.
Okay.
I think that's like peak my style of horror.
You're just starting with one. You're just throwing one out there already. We weren't going 3, 2, 1 and just have a build up. You just went bam. This is it. I'm throwing it on the table. 1.
Yeah, because I got to figure out what 2 is, because I don't remember what I said last year, so I don't know if it's. So I'm mulling over that because I have 3.
Okay.
But yeah, I like to lean more towards psychological thrillers / horror. Like, I don't do the murder porn like Hostel and Saw and stuff like that. Like, that doesn't attract me.
Sorry, I was going to ask, is The Strangers the one where the guy has the shotgun in the hallway?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not about that.
Yeah.
I did not like that movie at all. It's terrifying.
Okay, yeah, so that's why you didn't like it?
Yeah,
okay.
That's actually terrifying.
Yeah, but those are the kind of movies, like, I watch horror movies to try to get that adrenaline rush, right?
Right.
And so when I can watch a movie and be like, okay, this is a feasible circumstance that a normal person could be put in. Like, they're not fighting a demon, they're not fighting a ghost or anything like that. Like, they're just getting hunted by psychos.
Right.
And like the scenes where she's like standing in the kitchen and then like you just see a guy standing behind her and then he's gone, and it's just like,
yeah, he's got that bag.
Yeah, the potato sack.
Oh man, awful stuff.
Yeah, and then like you said, they like put you into this frenzy, and then when a good guy shows up to save the day, he gets shot because they've set up the scenario to where like they're the only people in the house, and it's just like this mental chess they're playing with their victims. Like that's the kind of excitement I go to in horror movies. So like I think Strangers is just like peak.
Well, if you like that, then I think you'll appreciate my number one.
Sure.
It was a classic.
Mm-hmm.
Good old Jack, The Shining.
Yeah, I mean
I had like my eyes opened. I watched it with David.
yep,
Actually, we did the duel where you can not share your screen. What's that? Like a watch party
yeah,
on Amazon or whatever. And so we watched it, and I thought it was one of the first movies that I can say that I thought was genuinely like a classic or like a classic masterpiece because it still rides
yeah,
to this day. And that movie was made in 1980, 1970,
yeah,
1980, The Shining, 1980. It's 2022 and this movie still freaked me out because it's a thing that could happen.
yeah.
Right. So, again, probably going to be my favorite for at least a long time. But for right now, it's definitely The Shining is my number one.
Yeah, that's fair.
So
I
plus
think
you can't go wrong with Jack.
no, he's also
Period.
one of those. He's in it. It's got to be at least like the bar is only so low.
Right. Anger
Uh,
management is probably as low as it gets.
yeah, and even that movie has enjoyable parts.
Yeah.
Um, number two. So I'm torn
Okay.
because I have like movies that I watch every year,
Sure.
but then I have movies that like I think I like in the genre more.
Okay.
So for number two, I'm going to go with my heart pick and just move the other one to honorable mention. So the horror movies that I tend to watch yearly, uh, and this is a completely heart pick. Scream,
Yeah.
yeah, like those are.
Awful. Yeah, I know.
I don't think
Crazy.
they're not awful.
I know. I'm I have never and even when I wasn't like a huge fan of the genre,
Right.
I just didn't think they were good films.
Yeah, I
Because
I
I think
just
the acting in horror films usually not good anyway.
right.
But this is like a more visible bad.
Right, but it's like so Scream kind of hits that like sweet spot of like 90s early 2000 nostalgia.
Yeah,
I
I don't want to
mean,
see Monica from Friends get attacked by a psychopath. I don't know about you.
dude, I do. I just love the meta-ness of it, like it being such a self-aware franchise. Like
Sure.
I think that's where my enjoyment comes from. So not it being a horror or slasher flick, but like I think genuinely like them having a movie inside of the franchise called Stab, and
Right.
it's just them watching the movie we're watching, and like I think it's such like a beautiful like style of movie that's where my love for it comes from.
Does David Arquette act in Stab? Is he an
No,
actor in okay, I
no,
because I forget.
he's the sheriff of
Oh, that's
the
right.
local town.
That's right. Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
but yeah, but like Stab comes from Scream One. That's where the franchise comes from. Someone
Right.
takes Courtney Arquette's book and makes it into a film franchise, which is just Scream.
Well, I think the thing that so it doesn't help for me that they made the a scary
Scary
movie
movies, yeah.
parodies. And they had oh god, what's his name? What's the mask? What do they call it?
Oh,
It's got
Ghostface.
a Ghostface, yeah. And they made him like the antagonist of
Yeah,
the
what's
parody.
that?
What
Yeah, right. No,
um,
I get
yeah,
it. And like I said, it could very well have been an honorable mention, but it's just I think I watched Scream, at least Scream One, once a year. So I felt like it had to be in my list somewhere. And
sure.
my horror list is a little more flexible than my other list. So
So my second pick is it. I don't think it's something that you enjoy nearly as much as I do because it revolves around like the supernatural.
Mm.
Um, I I don't know if I should get too specific with the Conjuring universe,
Mm.
but I really enjoyed Annabelle.
Yeah.
Um, I didn't like that like an actual child was involved for a little bit because there's a scene that really got to me, like psychologically.
Uh,
Um, but as far as like scary, yeah, like it's up there. But the whole Conjuring universe is just really cool to me and really well done. That you could probably interchange Annabelle with like the Nun or the Conjuring, one or two. I haven't seen The Devil Made Me Do It, or I think it's The Devil Made Me Do It, or The Devil
yeah.
Inside, or whatever.
No, The Devil Made Me Do It is the newest one.
Yeah, so I haven't seen it yet, but I've really enjoyed watching this whole universe develop. I think it's really cool how they've made connections,
Yeah.
especially with the Nun. I think that was super well done.
Yeah. No, anytime you world build correctly, it's always a really good thing. And I like the Conjuring movies. They just don't scare me. Like it's one of those I just
Not for you.
demons, possessions, stuff like that.
Yeah,
It doesn't make me scared. And like
sure.
I just I
It's
like
not so much
I
the.
like the movies, but
I think it's the way because you see them like the demons, like the Nun, like they're terrifying looking.
yeah.
I think that's probably what I enjoy most, not like the realism of having, you know what I mean? Like that's
Yeah.
you know, but I think
No, I
yeah,
mean I get it. Like so like I'll do the Conjuring, but I won't do like actual exorcism movies.
like The
Like
Exorcist, like
no,
or
no
the
I mean I'm talking about like
Emily Rose
yeah, like
type.
Emily Rose, like this is based off true events type.
Well, you like Constantine, don't you?
The movie with Keanu Reeves.
Yeah,
It was okay.
isn't he an exorcist?
No,
Is he not?
no.
I thought he was.
Uh-uh.
I thought he was exorcising demons.
I mean, in Constantine, maybe, but like, I know, The Exorcist is fake.
Sure.
But like when they're like, we pulled these case files out of like a Catholic insane asylum, and it's just like you don't tempt fate that much.
That's fair enough. I'll concede that. I'll give you
Yeah.
that. Oh, so for me, Annabelle or just the Conjuring universe in general, I think fantastic. That would be my second. Um, what about your third, Jared?
So my third, this is probably the only thing that's changed, and probably moves up the list as time goes on. I know we talked about it a little earlier. Uh, I'm just going to go ahead and put The Black Phone in it. Like that is a movie I'm really high on this year. Uh,
Absolutely respectable.
I know it might be a little early for some people to call it an all-time great. I think it is going to go down as, at least for the newer movies, it is going to go down as one of the best horror movies made of at least of the past 5 to 10 years. Um,
Sure.
and it's definitely one I will rewatch. And I usually don't rewatch horror movies. Like that's just not a genre that I revisit once I've seen it once.
Right, right.
But The Black Phone is definitely probably going to be put on my October spooky season watch.
So I was actually torn a little bit. We were going through this earlier, and I had said I wasn't sure on this movie, and it's got nothing to do with how good it is because it's a great film.
Yeah.
And had everything to do with whether or not I would consider it like truly scary. Like there were
Right.
some jump scares, but this is the type of movie I would consider like suspenseful
Right.
thriller, not so much horror. And I know that's like we're splitting hairs here.
Yeah.
Um, but like, you ever seen Along Came a Spider, like Morgan Freeman, like stuff like that? That's just suspenseful.
Yeah.
The Hannibal Lecter movie,
Silence of the Lambs.
Silence of the Lambs. Thank you. Also more suspenseful. So I wouldn't put it up in my scary movie
Right.
list. But I would certainly give the Black Phone at least an honorable mention. Since you said it, it is fantastic.
Yeah.
So that's a solid list, man. I got my third.
Yeah.
And this is a heart pick, and simultaneously a tip of the cap to you. It's one of the first scary movies I genuinely watched with this podcast in mind, where I started watching films differently.
Yep.
Really took a look at the genre. Lights Out.
Oh, dude, Lights Out is so good and
Lights
so
Out
underrated.
was such a good scary movie, like just in every sense of the word, horror. Like that's exactly what that film was. Like the acting was solid, like the premise was solid, the cinematography, the way some of the scene that comes to mind specifically is with the gun and the darkness. Do you remember that?
Oh, when they fired it and then the flash and
Yes.
then the guy was there. You see,
yes, bro.
the two scenes I remember most from that movie were one, like I think it was a car,
Okay.
and then like it might have been outside the house and the street lamp was flickering. And then like
Was that I thought it was like a barn or a parking lot.
Yes.
There was like 4 lights.
Yeah.
And they would like come on and off. Bro.
Yeah. And then
no.
and then the thing would be there every time.
Yes.
And like I remember I saw that movie in theaters because I might have been traveling, or I don't know why I was there. I saw it by myself though. But I was like, this is such a well done creative way, because I had never thought about like light being a way something evil moves, and then like how quickly it can get around.
Yeah.
Until they started showing like the gun flash, and then it was there, and then I was like, oh, like it can just be anywhere at
Anywhere
any
light
time.
exists. It was amazing.
Yeah.
And I just learned something new, which might actually explain why I enjoyed this movie so much. Directed by one David F. Sandberg, who is also known for Annabelle creation.
That makes sense.
So I guess I should also tip my cap to Mr. Sandberg as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I didn't know that. I literally just say it's like I'm on the IMDb for Lights Out, and it's like from the director that brought you The Conjuring, and I'm like, what the heck? No idea.
Yeah, good directors are good directors.
And Shazam, apparently.
That's a little different.
Yeah.
But to each their own.
Sure.
Did you have an honorable mention?
The Black Phone would have been my honorable mention. If not, I probably would have given it to Malignant. No, I'm kidding. That movie was so bad.
I was talking about that with Cody today.
Malignant?
Yeah, because he sent me a trailer for a new horror movie called Megan.
Okay.
And I was watching the trailer, and then at the end it was just like from director James Wan, and I was like, I was like, James Wan's done some good stuff, but man, the last horror movie I saw with his name on it was trash.
Not good. Honestly, the first Halloween, the was really good and holds a special place in my heart.
Like the first one,
not
or
not the
new trilogy first.
The new trilogy first. Sure. Although the 1978 Halloween still holds.
It was good.
It's still fine. Young Jamie Lee Curtis, I think, was supremely talented for the time. Yeah, but no, the first in the new trilogy I thought was actually really well done. And it got me super excited for the second one, which was trash.
It was dog meat.
So I don't know what to think about the third one coming out. Hopefully we got some good things to say. We'll see.
We'll find out Friday.
Yeah. So but I think I think that's everything. Did you want to talk about what's coming out, what we're looking at for the future before we sign
Really,
out?
I think the only thing that comes out this week is the new Halloween movie.
Okay.
Halloween Ends, I think is what it's called, or Halloween Dies. I don't know.
Hopefully it ends.
I sure hope so. And apparently, yeah, Halloween Ends. Uh, we need to see Smile at some point because it's also getting some very good.
Yeah. I've been wanting to see that. I told you that last week too, I think. I really
Yeah,
want to watch Smile. So maybe we can do it too for like a double scary movie uh with the
yeah.
double showdown.
You just let me know when you're free, man.
Okay. Well, we'll talk about it later.
Yeah.
So if you would like to shout out our socials,
Of course.
that would be wonderful.
If you guys ever want to get in contact with us, firstly, if you know us personally, text us, DM us, uh, or if you want to talk to Kevin, call him.
Yeah.
Um,
I do
so
like to talk on the phone.
that's true. So first and foremost, if you are new to the channel, we do have a Facebook page, Silence Your Cell Phone Subcategory Podcast. We have a Instagram, Silence Your Cell Phones. We have a Twitter, Silence Phone. But if you just search Silence Your Cell Phones, it'll be there. We have a Gmail, Silence Your Cell Phone, no S, at gmail.com. We have a Patreon, Silence Your Cell Phones. We're on Spotify and Anchor. I usually wait a couple weeks and drop episodes trying to get more traction through YouTube right now, but I know a lot of people try to listen at work or something and they can only get Spotify. So I'm doing my
Shouts out
best.
to Kevin Gallo.
Yeah. So I'm trying my best to do those. They just take a little bit longer to get put together. And work's been a bear, which is why we have to record late at night sometimes.
Yes. It's starting to. I can see the light though, Jared. Like the light at the end of the tunnel. It's there. We're gonna make it. I believe.
I sure hope so.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that was all of them. Was there
Well,
anything else you wanted to discuss?
no, I don't think so. If you're ready, go ahead and sign us up, buddy.
All right, everyone. Until next week, and sing.